Back in September, Robert White and I took a road trip to Colorado, and I can honestly say that the biggest thing that contributed to my personal comfort while on that ride was having a set of highway pegs. I don't think there's anything that contributes more to your comfort than having a good set of highway pegs.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Cruiseman's Garage. Today, we're going to be installing these Commander mini boards from Showchrome onto my 2024 Honda Goldwing. Now, you may know that I already have a set of highway pegs on this 2024 Goldwing that came with the motorcycle, and these are the ones from Goldstrike. And they've been fine. They've been very comfortable, very good. You can adjust them all different ways. And I actually like the way they mount to the motorcycle. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove those Goldstrike highway pegs, and then we're going to mount these Showchrome pegs in their place. And I want to be able to kind of compare the two. So I'll be able at the end of this to kind of give you an idea of which one I think are the better fit for the 2024 Honda Goldwing, at least for me, at 6'2", about 190, how that works. I have about a 32, 33-inch inseam. So let's get started. The Showchrome Commander mini boards come complete with installation instructions that are very easy to follow. Of course, all the hardware necessary. In fact, there's a couple of pieces of hardware they give you that are not necessary for this installation, but you'll know that as you go through it. Of course, you have the mounting brackets on the left side here and the footboards themselves on the right. The only tools necessary for this installation are going to be Allen wrenches. I've got an 8mm, a 6mm, a 5mm, and a 3mm. Showchrome also recommends the use of a medium thread lock. I've got the blue thread locker here. The next thing we have to do is we have to remove this lower cowl because the Showchrome foot pegs mount to the tip-over bar that's underneath this little plastic cover. We first have to remove the fog light covers, which are on the very front of the motorcycle. So we're going to do that next. We have to remove this first, and then we can remove this lower cowl. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail on how to do this. I'm just going to show you I'm doing it. If you want further details on removing these parts, check out my Honda Goldwing maintenance video series. I go into great detail because otherwise in this video I'll spend 10 minutes just trying to explain how to take off this lower cowl, which I do in my videos. I give you great detail, and it's a very important process how you can remove this lower cowl. I have these cowl lights installed, which have to be unplugged. If you don't have the cowl lights, you wouldn't need to worry about this step. Now that we have the lower cowl off, you can better see how this Goldstrike mounting system works. It's adjustable. You can adjust it forward or back. I have mine, I think it's all the way back toward the rider, toward the back of the bike. Now, this is not a video about the Goldstrike pegs, but I'm just showing you this while I'm down here. The main thing I wanted to show you is as I was cleaning off this tip over bar, my hand just kind of accidentally hit this bolt and I could feel this washer was loose. This bolt is loose. It was never tightened fully. This is why it's a good idea to work on your own motorcycle and periodically clean it and do things, because you'll notice things like this. So I'm going to have to tighten this bolt, because that's what holds this mechanism together on this tip over bar. They mount theirs further back on the tip over bar. You can see it's several turns off. It just was never tightened. Now it is. I'll check the other ones while I'm down here. Now, as I mentioned to you earlier, the Show Chrome mini commander boards are going to mount to this tip over bar right here. We'll put the brackets on this bar. So this bar is going to extend out past the lower cowl. Now, normally we have this little plastic cover that covers up the tip over bar. We're going to have to remove that to get this installation complete. So if you turn around and look at the inside, you can see that it's really only held in place with a couple of little cotter pins, and then there's some little tabs right here that we basically just bend out of the way, and it just pops right out. So it's very easy to remove this. And just like that, the cover comes off. Now, after we mount the Show Chrome boards, you'll notice this will all be visible now, because this bar is going to be kind of sticking out through here. And this obviously is not something that Honda ever intended for people to see, so it's not very attractive. It's more of a mounting place for that little cover. Well, Show Chrome has a little trim piece that goes around here to make it look much nicer. It's an optional piece, but I highly recommend it because it's going to make for a much cleaner, nicer installation. This is the engine guard opening trim from Show Chrome. Like I say, it is an option, but I think it's something you should definitely get and consider. There's your part number if you need it. You should be able to order this from Wing Stuff or get it from your Honda dealer or any place that sells Show Chrome accessories. Now, this little piece of trim is simply held in place with these little clips and these two tabs right here. So it's very, very simple to install. You just basically pop it into place. I like to put the clips in first. And so you get a much, much cleaner look than you would have otherwise. So now we're ready to install the clamp mechanism, and you might think this is the top of the clamp, but it's actually the bottom, and this is the top, and it's going to fit sort of like that right there once we get it all screwed together. Now, there is a little bit of flexibility in how you can rotate this on this bar. You can also move it a little bit around this tip over bar. I'm going to try to put it right in the middle, see how that works. Okay, as you can tell, there's 3 holes here that we mount to, and the one at the back, or I call the back, it's actually the inside toward the engine, is going to use this 6mm Allen bolt, and we're going to come in from underneath like this, and then we're going to attach that or screw it into this top piece. And I'm just going to attach them loosely to start out until I figure out how I want these to be adjusted. As I began entering these bolts into the threads, I noticed they're very tight. In other words, I could only get 2 or 3 threads to go in before it almost stopped, and I'm working at kind of an odd angle, so it was hard to get enough leverage to get these bolts to go all the way in. So I decided to take it back apart and clean the threads out first. It's a pretty tight fit, and it could just be because there's powder coat. I'm not sure if that's why, but the threads are pretty tight in there. Interesting. Let me try the 5mm and see if those are the same way. Yeah, they're tight too. I'm going to go ahead and run these screws through here. Yeah, they're going in. They're just tight, and I think it's because there might be some powder coating on these threads that are making them so tight. It should make them a little easier to go in the next time, I hope. It's kind of like you're tapping out those threads. I'm not sure if it's the threads on the bolt or the threads. I think it's the threads in the bracket that are tight. So be aware, you might need to run these bolts through these threads just to clean them out a little bit to make it a little bit easier to do your installation. I'm going to get down here a lower down on the ground. I'm using a 6mm Allen socket and a 3-inch extension because I think it's a little bit easier to get a feel on the threads. Okay, those are in now. I've got a few threads started on that one. Now we'll do one of the 5mm. Okay, so all the threads are started for all 3 screws. Now what we'll start doing is I'm going to start kind of cross tightening these. I'm not going to tighten one down all the way. I'm going to go around because I don't want this little clamshell to be at a kind of an open or, you know, at an odd angle. So I'm going to do 4 or 5 turns in each screw or bolt, and then I'll just kind of go around 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll come in here with my 6mm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's starting to get tight, but I can still move it and rotate it if I need to. I'm going to try to get this to be sort of level, sort of straight up and down. Let me put my foot peg on there and see how that looks. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mount this foot peg so I can kind of see how I want this to be mounted, either forward, in the middle, up or down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosely mount all this stuff and then sit on the bike and kind of put my feet where I want them. I'd say about like that right there is probably what I would like. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down like that. And that should be, as far as this way, I think just keeping them in the middle is going to be okay with me. I don't think I really need to do anything else. Okay, so now I've got everything tightened up, and I'm going to go sit on the bike now and see how these feel. You can kind of tell the difference of where these are mounted. They're much more forward than my previous pegs were, the Gold Strike. And I think I even had the Gold Strike maybe angled back a little more. So these are possibly going to cause me to have to stretch my legs out even further. Let's give them a try. Okay, let's get on the bike here and see what it feels like. Well, I'm definitely stretched out more than I would like. I would prefer them to be a little more up here, but they are comfortable. It's a more stretched out feeling than what I had with the Gold Strike pegs, but I'm going to give them a try. I want to see how they feel while riding. I think it'd definitely be good for highway riding. Okay, so I've shown you how to install the pegs on the left side of the bike. I'm not going to videotape the right side. I'll just do that on my own. And then I'll show you the finished product. I'm going to go ahead and put this lower cowl back in place. And we'll put the fog light cover back on. And then we'll be able to look and see what these look like on the bike. From an aesthetic standpoint, I actually like the way these look on the motorcycle better than the Gold Strike, because number one, you can still see the Honda logo on the lower cowl. I like that. The way that I had the Gold Strike mounted, it obscured that so you couldn't really see the word Honda, and I didn't like that. I also like the finish. This is a matte finish. I think it matches the motorcycle better. The Gold Strike that I have anyway was more of a glossy finish, and I just don't think it matches the look of the Goldwing. I do like the size and the shape of the Gold Strike highway pegs, but not crazy about the finish. I do like this matte finish, and they put the 3 little ribs here just to give it a little bit of decoration. And then of course on the pad itself you've got a lot of rubber surface area here, and then some little chrome inserts to give it some look. Now they do make larger highway pegs than these are the mini boards. They make a larger board that you can put here. Same mounting system, so if you wanted you could just swap out the boards. And they also make a matching board to replace your foot pegs, so you could have a matching set. So now that I have everything installed, it's time to take these Commander highway boards out for a test ride. Actually, I should say mini boards. These are the smaller highway boards. They are very easy to reach with your feet. I didn't have any trouble flipping them down into the extended position. As I took this turn onto the service road, I leaned pretty hard. I didn't notice anything scraping, so I guess that's a good sign. And now we get up to highway speed, and I want to kick these boards out and put my feet on them and see how they feel. Now, I'm much more stretched out than I would have been with the Gold Strike boards, which I kind of figured I would be because they're farther away from the seat than the Gold Strike. But they're not uncomfortably far away. I still would prefer to be back a little bit. Now I've got a 32 to 33 inch inseam. I think a shorter rider is probably going to be a little better off with the Gold Strike because they have a little more adjustability to get them closer to you. These have a fairly limited range of adjustability as far as getting them back closer to the rider. That said, those of you with longer legs, I'd say 31 inseam or longer, I think you're going to really prefer these foot pegs. They're very comfortable, they're nice looking, they feel extremely solid, and I think I prefer them over the Gold Strike from an aesthetic standpoint. So for longer leg riders, I think this is a good choice. Shorter leg riders may want to consider something else. I wish Showchrome made a little extension, maybe just 2 or 3 inches, that would allow you to adjust it back or up a little more so you'd have a little bit more adjustability. I think that would be a good optional thing for them to consider. So that is my installation and review of the Showchrome Commander mini boards for the Honda Goldwing 2018 Plus Honda Goldwing. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. That really does help my YouTube rankings. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments section down below. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next Cruiseman's Reviews.